So you premiered at the IFFR?
Yes.
Yes. Was that yesterday or
Sunday evening.
Sunday evening?
Sunday. So 2 days ago, I think.
How was it?
It went well. Yeah, the good cinema and good audience.
And
It was full, which is good.
of all the festivals in the world, you choose the IFFR to premiere. Why?
I think it's an interesting festival. You know, it has a good mixture now of commercial films and more experimental films. And for me, I'm interested in both. So, and I've been here at the festival in 2006, and I like the fact that the audience are very close to the films and the programming. So we thought it would be ideal festival to come over from London to.
And I read somewhere, I think your producer said it, that it's the film matches the atmosphere of the festival.
Yeah, I think so. It's slightly irreverent, the character. It's a character movie, so it's slightly irreverent. It's funny. It's, he said modestly, perhaps it's funny, and it's interested in contemporary subject matter, I think. So I think it matches some of the aims or the programming of the festival and the atmosphere.
And it's as you said, it's a character film about Daphne, the main character, a 30-year-old woman. How were you in your 30s?
How was I in my 30s?
Yeah. What are
I wasn't
the
a woman.
No.
That I'm aware of.
But what are the biggest differences that you encountered between being 30 now in London and in the 90s?
I wish I could remember.
You
It
can't?
was so long ago. I honestly can't remember. I don't tend to look back very much. It's too exhausting. I've got 2 children. I don't have time to look back.
No,
I
it
only
stops
live-
when you have children.
Yeah, I only look at it just now and maybe one day in advance.
And how did you do the research for the film?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting question. I base the characters on people I know, and I spent 2 years writing a biography of the character and working with the actress for 2 years before we start to shoot the film.
Yeah, I think the main actress calls them the Bible. She
Yeah,
got.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
With the
With
Bible.
all the information.
Or the Quran, or you know.
Yeah.
I'm interested, I suppose, in sociology in a sense, and I'm interested in cities. And I thought it would be interesting to do some research about a woman who's living in this era of very late capitalism and how it affects people her age. And so I suppose I read lots of material and interviewed lots of people and women of that age. I think that's pretty much how we did most of the research. But the character, so we do a biography from her childhood to now, and so we decided that she'd studied philosophy and English literature 10 years ago, so we gave the actress the reading list from university 10 years ago, which she read, and playlists and improvisations and lots of things, which she did them all and was happy to do them, and I was really, really pleased that she did, because I think she's created a character that for me is something towards what I was looking for, you know, and she's a great actress. So it was a pleasure to work with her. She's really good. She reminds me of young Jenna Rollins.
Of who?
Jenna Rollins.
Jenna Rollins, I don't know her.
She was Cassavetes' wife in all of his movies. A Woman Under the Influence, I think. It's a great film if you haven't seen it. And if you see Daphne, I think she's almost like a distant relation to that character.
And because the reason for the research I read is that you don't have to rehearsal too much.
Yeah, I like to try to keep the actors fresh. So if I do the character work with the actor in advance, when we go to the set, we know the character. We know almost everything we can about them. and then we don't have to do too many takes. So the actor and the crew work quickly, and we try to capture something of life or spontaneity in the sets. I feel the more takes I do, the less fresh the work becomes. And I thought, well, maybe we could try something different with this one.
Yeah, I think it feels, because of that method, I think it feels very natural.
Ah, good, good.
Yeah.
And good actors can do that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
we choose them carefully in advance. We study them, we look at their other work, we meet them. In fact, that method of working is how Woody Allen has worked for 40 years. He doesn't rehearse. He doesn't
Only
talk to them
give
about
Bibles.
the characters. He doesn't give them Bibles. They come in. He casts well. He shoots. And as few takes as possible. And I thought, well, if it's good enough for Woody Allen, you know,
Yeah.
it's good enough for me.
That makes sense. And what if maybe has the character learned you of all those conversations about being a 30-year-old in contemporary society?
What has she learned?
Yeah. Well, has it learned you?
I think London is a city which, in financial terms, is a victim of its own success. So young people in London, and lots of people who work, can't afford to live in the city. People have to leave. They have no hopes of mortgages like their parents or their grandparents did. I think in the society we are in, there's something about infantilization of people, you know. So lots of people in their 30s, lots of women that I met live with their parents, you know, because they can't afford to live in London. So it's interesting that the London has a phrase, London is open for business, you know, but unfortunately the people who work there often can't afford to live. I think it's interesting. So it's a big question, where and how can people live in these major cities, you know, major financial cities.
Yeah. How do you think that will be in the future then?
It's a good question. So I look at other cities that have, you know, similar scale and similar size problems, and people are leaving. In London, I think
The original inhabitants are leaving.
yeah, or being moved out. I think that in London, and certainly in the city I live in Glasgow, that student accommodation, lots of student accommodation is being built. And I wonder if student accommodation will be how young people will start to live in the next 5-10 years. People who aren't students anymore.
No.
It's depressing.
It is a bit. Well, it's a difficult time not to be depressed a little bit, I think. But what would Daphne's stance be on Brexit, for example?
Oh.
I'm sure you know. You
That's a
figured
good
it out.
question. Well, I had this discussion not so long ago. I think she would. I think she'd want to remain in Europe. I think that she wouldn't really be party loyal to any party in the UK. I think that she would, like lots of people, be apolitical in a sense with party loyalty. Although she's left of centre in her interests, but I get the feeling that she'd be a Green voter, you know. And she'd probably say the European Union may not exist in 5 or 10 years' time.
She would say that.
I think so. I can't speak for her on everything, but I suspect that she probably wouldn't.
Yeah. And is it hard to let go of your own political values and views if you develop this character?
Not too much, I don't think, because you have to, for me in drama, every character that you meet, you have to love them if you make them. You know, you have to, when they come on, you have to agree with them, with their point of view. Otherwise, the drama is dogmatic, I suppose. So I try to put my own political beliefs to one side otherwise I'm talking to myself and there's no point.
And is it hard then to say goodbye in the end of the character when it's done, the movie's done, and you go to another project?
With this one, it's interesting because the character is based on a friend of mine. So it's funny. So if I see the movie, which I probably will never see it again, but when I see Emily or I see Nico, the writer I work with, and we do some of the jokes, it reminds me of my friend. So in a way, although I don't want to see the film again, I'm reminded of my friend when I hear Emily speaking, you know.
And what was her reaction, your friend's reaction?
She's no longer with us, I'm afraid. Yeah. But I could imagine a reaction.
And what would it be?
I would be slightly cynical.
She would make a joke about it.
She would make a joke about, from the grave, about her personality being used. And no royalty.
And is it because you are born in Scotland? Do you still live there?
Yes, I do. I live in Glasgow, which is a little bit like Rotterdam, as we mentioned earlier on. I spend quite a lot of time in London, but my family live in Glasgow, and it's a good place for the kids, and we can afford to live there.
Yeah, and
I can't afford to live in London.
In London, no. It stopped for regular people.
I think so.
Yeah.
For lots of regular people, and people who work, you know, doctors, policemen, nurses, can't afford to live in the city, which.
And most people in Scotland were against leaving the European Union, right?
Yes, indeed they were. There's been an independence debate in Scotland, a referendum recently, and I think there's likely to be another referendum debate soon based upon the UK leaving, based on Brexit. So it may become an independent country.
What do you hope for?
I think if people want autonomy and want to govern, they should be allowed to decide about that. You know, my personal opinion is yes, I think so. Otherwise, we have a colonial system, which we already have history of that. So I'm not so keen to maintain that idea.
And is it because you made a few shorts before Daphne? This is your first feature, right?
It's first fiction feature.
Yeah,
I
first.
also made a documentary feature.
And is it because I read in an interview that it took a while because of the financial crisis to finance the film?
Yeah.
And well, in the end, it worked out. You succeeded. And what would you advise young filmmakers who would be in the same position and lose our hopes?
The same as I'd say to any filmmaker, whether they're young or not, you have to make work in whatever way you can. And I think my own experience, it's taken me 10 years to make one feature film, first one. I think you have to keep going. And I think it's the continuation of practice in any walk of life that helps, you know. Think if you say 2 or 3 years, I'm giving up now, then were you so interested in the first place? I'm not sure. I wouldn't like to be prescriptive and tell anyone how to live or what to do. But for me, I felt that if I kept on going, I had to keep on making work, you know.
Yeah.
So.
But you have to live as well. You have to pay the rent and.
Yes. So and you either do other jobs, you know, if you work in moving image, you perhaps do teaching or you make adverts or something. Or you get married to someone who has a regular job.
That's always a good idea.
Always a good idea.
If you want to be a filmmaker.
Well, I couldn't possibly comment on my own financial arrangements.
And do you have a new goal? Or are you working on a new project for this
coming
years?
Yes, it's very early days. I'm working with the Bureau. We're talking about doing a new film just now, so we've started the research with the same writer and the same producers. We've identified something we like and we're planning it just now.
Can you give a glimpse?
I can't, I'm afraid. For legal reasons.
Okay, well, legal
I can't.
reasons are good ones.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the
Thank you.
festival.
Yes, it's been a great festival.
Have fun.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you.